about Crimson Peak. So, here with me is my lovely friend Amanda.
Hello!
Who also just recently saw Crimson Peak. I saw it last night.
I saw it the night before.
Yeah, you saw it the night before. Well, that was some interesting stuff there.
Oh.
Well, we'll be perfectly honest. A deciding factor in watching it was the fact that there was a certain actor in it.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Oh, I think it's Tom something.
Yeah, like Tom Hindenburg or something. Anyway, so he was in that. He was also in a small independent film called The Avengers, which you might have heard of, which came out I don't know, several years ago, something of the sort. It was kind of under the radar, but you know. So he was in that, and that was a major reason why we wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
However, both of our fear of horror movies outweighed our desire to see him in that we did not see it in theaters, and so we waited till it was on DVD. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this movie was definitely not what I expected.
Oh no, I got a little weirder than I had hoped.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Well, let's just say first of all that kind of obviously there will be spoilers in this, but that's kind of a given. So, anyhow, let's start from the beginning, like the beginning of the movie. Intro with Mia Wasikowska in the movie plays the main character, Edith Cushing, who is American.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I think Mia Wasikowska is British, isn't she?
Oh, I have no idea.
I believe so. And so that was a surprise to me because I thought the whole thing was set in England.
As did I.
Yeah, so then we start off in Buffalo, New York, and I'm like, well, this is great. I'm speaking my language out here. So that was fun. I found it interesting that with it, the whole first, I think, 45 minutes or so of the movie takes place in America.
Yeah.
And you only see one ghost in that whole time, really. It's when there's a flashback to when Edith was 10 years old and the ghost of her mother, who died then, comes and tells her, beware of Crimson Peak. And since us moviegoers know what that means, but she does not, because she's a 10-year-old. And then 14 years later, flash forward, she's a young adult who is an aspiring writer, and she has written, as she puts it, not a ghost story, but a story with a ghost in it, which I very fully believe some commentary on the movie itself.
Yeah.
And the publisher won't publish it because he thinks that it needs a love story, probably because she's a lady.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she goes to the publisher and he says, come back when it's a love story. And so she has a discussion with this about with her father. Then she goes to her father's work so she can type up her story on a typewriter, and her feminine handwriting won't give her away to another publisher. And that's where she meets the guy.
Tom.
Yep. I have to say that when that happened, I actually did kind of hide behind my mom's chair. Not gonna lie.
It was cute.
Yeah, well, I because we know where it's going, just from the trailers and stuff. We know what's happening. As soon as he walks in there, we know what's gonna go down. Like as soon as she starts feeling, I know, but as soon as she starts feeling those things for him, we know what's gonna happen.
Oh.
But I really appreciated that as well in Tom Hiddleston's acting, that he really does come across as just genuinely charming.
Yeah.
At the first, like he seems like a perfectly, normal, well-established, sociable person, which I think is a really good move with his acting, especially what goes down later in the movie, which we find out. But I think that was a real testament to his ability. I really like that.
I feel like he kind of seemed creepy at parts. Like he could have totally been the villain all along.
Oh yeah. Mhm. But yeah, he really came across just as a nice guy. Oh, and let's not forget our other leading man, Charlie Hunnam, of course, playing Alan McMichael, who's a friend of Edith's in the movie, who has obviously had a crush on her for a very long time. Total crush. Charlie Hunnam, I'm pretty sure his character was supposed to be American.
I think so.
But we all know that Charlie Hunnam, bless his heart, has an accent that he just, he tries. He tries, bless his heart. He tries. He did a good job of it in Pacific Rim, actually, though.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, like, it was good. But anyway, he's also in it. So essentially, Edith is quite taken with this gentleman, Sir Thomas Sharp. Well, that name should just tell you a lot. Comes in and he essentially sweeps her off her feet a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
Just woos her.
well, he starts off by saying how much he loves the manuscript. Yeah, he just says, "Oh, I see this manuscript or transcripting. It's rather good, isn't it?" And he doesn't know she's the one who wrote it, and so she's that's already caught her notice. Like, oh, thank you. So at that point in the movie, I was honestly feeling really good because that was a point in the movie where the whole ghost thing kind of took a break.
Yeah.
And it was more of that whole 1900, like early 1900s, late 1800s society feel that you get from movies like Pride and Prejudice or like Sense and Sensibility or Emma, that kind of thing.
It's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Just the dresses.
Oh yes, the set design is beautiful. I actually watched a couple of extras on the DVD afterwards. So on it, they say that the film itself takes place in 1901. So right after the turn of a century, and so that's why they have all these automobiles and all the bright color. And it was a conscious choice for, while the movie takes place in Buffalo, New York, to have all these like beautiful costumes and beautiful colors and pretty dresses, and it makes you feel good, you know, being in America. So anyway, Thomas Sharp takes Edith to the ball unexpectedly, where he meets up with his sister, Lucille Sharp. And they have, you know, a brother-sister cheek kiss, except the cheek kiss was a little bit too close for the lips. For my liking.
Yeah, just a little creepy.
Yes, I think it's okay at this point to talk about what goes down later.
Yeah.
All right, so just by that intro scene alone, I could already kind of feel like, oh, they're going to be in an incestuous relationship, aren't they? Just
hoping beyond hope against it. Like, they're not really related.
Or yeah, you hope that they're not really, but I had the feeling that, yes, that they were romantic brother-sister relationship. Maybe it's, I've had exposure to Game of Thrones, so maybe that's part of it. Like, it wasn't as much of a shock factor to me.
You just made the assumption.
I was just like, well, that was a kiss close to the lips. They are going to be doing incest things. Not good.
It was obvious that there was more to them.
Yep. So anyways, at this ball, he waltzes with her.
The waltz.
And then, well, her father just does not like him in general. He has come, Thomas Sharp has come to America actually to get funding for this machine that he designed to harvest the red clay that's under his house. There you go. That's already a great sign.
Yeah.
But Edith's father says no because, quote unquote, he does not like him. There's something about him that's off, which...
he has soft hands.
Yeah. That's something that Edith's father says in the movie is that, hey, in America, we work from the ground up. I got rough hands and you got the softest hands I've ever seen.
Just a strange line.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And he was like holding his hands for a little while. But anyway, so Edith's father does not like the fact that Thomas Sharp has taken to his daughter. So he hires a private investigator, a Mr. Hawley, to investigate him, and Mr. Hawley finds some unsavory things about him. Long story short, when Edith's father confronts Thomas Sharp and his sister about it, the next day he's found murdered. And after such murder, of course, Edith does not know her father's been murdered at this point, but Thomas Sharp proposes to her.
Yes. Very unplanned.
And then pretty much immediately after, like that same day after the proposal, she finds out her father has been murdered. Well, she does not know he's been murdered. They just found him with his skull bashed in.
Yeah.
Of course, that normally means murder. I hope that there isn't like a police officer out there who would look at a body with half the head missing and say,
broken sink.
And say like, it was, what a terrible accident. This has been completely no malice aforethought whatsoever. No suspect or homicidal tendency in this at all. I hope that would not happen in real life. But such as it is, so Edith marries Thomas Sharp and is whisked off to his creepy mansion in England.
Certainly creepy.
And honestly, that sequence in the movie to me was just hilarious in a way because they literally walk through the door and he's just telling her all the things that are wrong with the house.
Like it's no problem.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, there's no ceiling. Ketchup oozes out of the floors. It's the red clay, but it looks like ketchup. Oh yeah, and she says that she wants to take a hot bath, and he says, oh, all right, the water runs red at first, so you need to let it go a little bit. And also there is an elevator to the mine shafts just right in the middle of their kitchen. Just right there.
It's no big deal. Everyone's house has an elevator, clearly.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, at this point, it's maybe worth saying Edith finds a cute tiny dog that had been living in the wilderness. And you know how we all know the fate of cute tiny dogs in horror movies, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yep. Of course, that dog actually lasted a lot longer than the cute dogs normally do.
Yeah.
He like made it all the way to the end.
Yeah, it was there. That dog.
And then he died.
Just why?
Mm-hmm. Well, anyhow, so Edith is in this house. She realizes a lot of creepy stuff going on. Edith's always had a tendency to see ghosts, I think.
Yeah, it
in the
kind of
movie.
seems like that.
Yeah, it seems like that's like her thing. So she starts seeing ghosts around the house. When she tells her husband and his sister about it, they're just kind of like, yeah, just imagining things.
No big deal.
It's no big deal. It's no problem. So anyhow, that goes on, and back home in America, you know, the good place, because you can tell when you transition from the setting of Buffalo, America, to the house, which is called Allerdale in England, you just immediately start feeling bad. Like, and then I just remembered back, like, can we go back to the first half hour when we were in America and I felt happy? Oh yeah, and throughout this whole time, I think it's worth noting the sister is essentially acting like the creepiest person alive and like not even hiding it.
Like really, just the way she eyes Edith, it's
just like creepy in general. Like when she first meets Edith, this is while they're still in America, by the way, like before Thomas is even engaged to her or anything.
Yeah.
So Lucille, the sister, she goes up to this chrysalis in a tree and cuts it off the tree. Edith goes up to her and says, is it a butterfly? And Lucille's just like, not yet, but it will be soon. And then she looks on the ground and there are a bunch of butterflies on the ground dying. And she's just saying, like, they get their strength from the sun, so when it leaves them, they die. And of course, you know, I guess Edith's just taking all this in stride, but then Lucille's just like, at home, we only have black moths. They're strong, but they're not beautiful. They feed off the cold. I'm just like, okay, that's not weird at all.
totally normal conversation.
And then Edith asks, what do they eat? And Lucille's just like, butterflies, I'm afraid. And then she literally starts rubbing Edith's face with a butterfly, with a dying butterfly. And was that not a tip-off of like, hey, this is the creepiest woman alive?
But like Edith only seemed mildly bothered by it.
Yeah, like if I met someone like that, I'd just be like, okay, goodbye. Yeah. And especially the fact that you have to know that she would be living with Lucille, because, you know, this is back in the days when, well, yes, they end up being incestuous, but it wasn't uncommon for a brother and sister to live together.
Yeah, they were both unmarried.
Yeah, So, well, unmarried. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see it, but unmarried. But that's beside the point. But honestly, if I was interested in a guy and that was what his sister was like, I would like, even if I liked him a lot and he seemed totally normal, I'd still be wary knowing that I would be living with her.
Yeah, just kind of keep a close eye on the creepy one.
It was an interesting event. Oh boy. So anyway, in this creepy mansion, which is literally the creepiest house alive, I think.
Yeah.
Creepiest house you can ever see. Oh, you go ahead.
It's falling apart. So.
Yes. And there's a point where Thomas even says that Thomas is an inventor, so he has all these like technical explanations for this stuff. Essentially, the wind blows into the house a certain way where the fire just erupts into the chimney and looks like a huge bonfire. And he's just like, oh yeah, every now and then the house breathes. It was funny to me because he just explained it so matter-of-factly.
Just like it's so common.
Like it seemed like a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror where like a real estate agent is going through and like, oh yeah, blood sometimes come out of the walls. Don't worry about that. Happens every so often. Sometimes you'll hear a child screaming, but it's no big deal. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Oh man. So in the meantime, back in Buffalo, Dr. McMichael, again played by Charlie Hunnam, he is a little bit wary of what's been going on lately. So it does some investigating, essentially finds out from Mr. Hawley, the private investigator that Edith's father had hired, finds out from a newspaper article that the Sharp children's mother had been found murdered in the bathtub and there had been no one else home. Guess what that was about? Oh boy. So, I really think that talking about the family dynamic is probably the best thing you can do here. So essentially, throughout the movie, through bits and snippets of what various characters, especially Lucille, say, you find out that the Sharps' father was abusive to their mother, and their mother was abusive to them.
Vicious cycle.
And Lucille, she says to Edith at one point near the end that she, quote unquote, thought her brother was so perfect as a child, so she would protect him from the beatings by taking them herself, which probably also messed with her head quite a bit.
Most definitely.
So anyway, they murdered the mom. He got shipped off to boarding school, Thomas Sharp did, and then Lucille went to a mental institution. How she got out, I don't think is ever said, actually, in the movie.
He probably got her out.
Yeah, probably somehow. As we're saying, I think Lucille is the older sister.
Yeah.
She's 2 years older, which I think makes it even weirder that they, like, are involved in that way. I mean, so this scenario is very similar to another book called Flowers in the Attic, which I think is also set around in the time of the 1800s, or around that sort of old era. And two siblings are also like hidden up in the attic by their relatives, and they have to stay there for years and years throughout their adolescence, and essentially brother sister, even though they're brother sister, they're the only people there together, and so they you know,
yeah, the Game of Thrones.
Dun, 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 dun. I can't play the actual music because that's copyrighted, but I can dun, 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 dun. So just that was that. But anyway, that's the kind of scenario, I guess, that you think of is when you only have one other person there, and that's what goes through your mind. What I thought was kind of weird, though, was that, so Lucille at one point is singing, and she tells Edith that that's a lullaby she would sing to Thomas when they were children. And essentially, so throughout the movie, Edith wanders the halls at night, encounters the ghosts, but every time she wakes up, Thomas isn't there in her bedroom.
Yeah.
So she's walking through the halls, and I had the benefit of subtitles watching it on DVD, and Lucille's always singing. And essentially, the point in the movie where you actually see what's up. I'm honestly thankful that it wasn't worse than
I
that.
know.
Oh gosh.
Fully clothed.
Yeah, they're fully clothed, but they're making out pretty hard.
But clothing.
Yeah, and she's singing that song, so that's their, I guess, intimate song. But, oh god. Del Toro, why? So that was their thing. Yep.
Weird thing.
Yep. Something I have so many things I want to talk about right now. I don't know where to pinpoint it. Is there anything like specific you wanted to talk about in the movie that you liked, disliked? Because I just realized I've just been kind of describing the plot this whole time.
The plot is complex.
When I said spoilers, I meant it. But anyway.
I liked that Thomas remained like gentle. Yeah. Even though his sister was terrible.
Yeah, it's shown throughout the movie that his sister, Lucille, is obviously the aggressive one. The dog, it's found out. So Thomas has done this whole thing before where he marries a woman and then has her transfer all her assets to him so that he can fund his machine to get the mines going again, because apparently that's super important to them.
I guess.
Living in a horrible, decaying house with red just seeping out everywhere, with no one there to love you, is super important to them.
Never fully explained why.
Yeah, it's an obsession, I think. I think that was what was meant to be coming across in the movie, is that, yeah, it makes no sense for them to do this, and they do it because they are obsessed with, like, keeping something that should be dead alive.
Yeah. Maybe it's all the regret, killing your own mom.
Well, there's that as well. So anyway, Thomas has done this with several other women before, and the dog that Edith finds in the woods, turns out it actually belonged to the last wife he had before Edith. And it's revealed, like, the sister asked him, like, I thought the dog was dead, and he's like, well, I just left it out in the cold. So the fact that he didn't even kill a dog, I think, speaks a lot to it. Like, he just kind of left it out there. It's like, okay, go die now.
Like that part, you're just like, I don't like either of you. It's a dog.
Mhm.
It's a dog!
Yeah. But, you know, at least he didn't kill the dog.
Yeah.
Lucille kills the dog. She, like, snaps his neck. You don't see that on camera, though.
Which is like, thank God.
Yeah. You see you see Edith's dad getting his head smashed in on a sink on camera, but you don't see a dog dying on camera. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
Come on.
Just, like, I can handle people. I can't handle animals. It's just, no.
Yeah, because the dog is just probably, like, there's nothing bad about the dog. You know, sometimes dogs in movies, like, they'll be noisy when they're not supposed to,
Yeah.
or they'll be bad. But he's just shown in the movie just being, he's really the only sweet thing in that house.
He's just trying.
Yeah, he's just a cute little dog, and he just kind of, like, keeps her company because, you know, her husband and his sister are kind of close. But anyway,
Very close.
yep. And then Lucille snaps the dog's neck.
Just
so sad.
You know, at that point, you're just, Lucille, go.
Yeah.
Bye.
So in this movie, Lucille takes most of the buffer of being, like, the evil, crazy one of the Sharps. I mean, They both have their issues, but Thomas is obviously the more well-adjusted one, probably because he wasn't in a mental institution.
Yeah, and probably because she protected him from the beatings, so
Yep.
It all factors.
Yep. Still kind of curious as to how she got out of a mental institution.
We need a whole movie dedicated to that.
Oh, I don't know. Then she'd be the main character, and I'd just be like, no.
You have to watch her kill a bunch of people.
Oh, gosh. No way. So, essentially, in the movie, it's like, Lucille is just kind of shown just being creepy, just everywhere, you know? And then there's a point where she, like, is essentially probing Edith for information, saying, like, oh, you know, you two are married now, so how was that? And then Edith just says, oh, he was very respectful of my father's mourning, nothing happened. And then Lucille's just like, how considerate, meaning good.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, gosh. But then,
just creepy.
But then that scene in the trailer, you know, the sexy scene, that actually happened, so Edith actually does do with her husband.
About time.
Which it's revealed by Lucille later that none of his previous wives did with him.
So he really likes her.
Yeah, so he really liked her. And that makes Lucille even more jealous.
Just even more crazy.
That movie, like, Crimson Peak, I feel it was a good movie for what it wanted to be. It was much less of a horror movie than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because all of the ghosts in that movie help Edith.
They're very humanized.
Yeah, they really are portrayed as victims, which they are.
Although they're terrifying looking. But, you know, after they're on screen for, like, longer than 10 seconds, you get used to the skeleton woman.
Yeah, all the ghosts there are only trying to help Edith, and really the scariest one in there is Lucille.
Yeah. She's the one you don't want to meet in a dark alley.
Oh no, not at all. So that was another surprising thing, because, you know, I think it was advertised quite a bit as a horror movie, where you expect, like, randomly opening and closing doors, and, like, moaning across the halls. And of course there's that, but it's actually rather minimalistic.
Yeah.
You know, like if you could almost feel like there weren't ghosts here, this could be like a thriller.
I feel like it very much turned out to be a thriller more than horror.
Yeah, that's true because, you know, our main villain is really just a crazy person, not like a supernatural force. She's a broken, insane person.
And all the supernatural forces are trying to like warn people she's crazy.
You know, so when in the first flashback, when Edith is 10 years old, the spirit of her mother tells her beware of Crimson Peak. But considering that that's not the formal name of the house, that the house is named, you know, like Allerdale, how hard would it have been for the mom to say beware of Allerdale?
I don't know.
Because Edith does not find out until she's already been at the house for quite a while.
She's already married.
Yeah, that a nickname for it is Crimson Peak.
But like, how did her mom even know?
Death, magic.
That's not explained either.
Dark magic. Oh, okay.
She just knows my kid is gonna get messed up at Crimson Peak.
Ugh, that was unfortunate. Something that I really did enjoy in the movie is the fact that there was a lot of tension in it. Throughout the film, Edith, you know, slowly realizes that things are not right here. So it was like a step-by-step process.
Yeah, it wasn't an instant, oh my god, they're together. It was a slow build.
Yeah, and she even says when she finally sees it, she even finally says, like, well, she says, I knew it, you aren't her sister. You aren't his sister. But turns out she is his sister. But Edith knew that something was up, and I think that that's a good thing in a movie like this, is to not have them be totally clueless until like one moment, like, oh, that's what it was. She slowly finds out more and more.
But you know, she probably had that hope of, he's my husband, he loves me.
Well, so in the movie, even though Thomas Sharp, you know, aided in poisoning her, killing her father, and was planning on taking all her assets, and was, you know, willing to let his sister kill her, he still says to her that he loves Edith. I don't know about that.
I don't think he knows what love is.
Yeah, that's exactly actually what I was thinking afterwards. Like, the only love you've ever known is the weird love you had with your sister.
And your sister does not seem, you know, just, he doesn't know what that feeling is.
Yeah, so I feel like he had good intentions at the end, because he does help Edith escape when Dr. McMichael eventually does come over. You know, Charlie Hunnam's character, Alan, he comes to take Edith away. Lucille, of course, being Lucille, just up and stabs him.
Yeah, just no problem.
But then Thomas actually helps him, and in the end, he essentially helps them escape in a way.
Yeah, he figures out whose side he should be on.
And he should have been on all his life, really.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like that can actually be explained in the movie, because it really is emphasized that his sister was the only person he had any interaction with throughout his childhood.
Yeah, it's played out very beautifully that, like, he is drawn to her because she's all he knows.
Yeah, like, it's not like a super weird comes out of nowhere thing.
Yeah.
You know, just
so
like,
weird, though.
You know, not like, oh, you just are incestuous just because. It's really because the house is also secluded. Like, there's no other houses within miles of there.
Yeah.
So they were confined to the nursery, just the two of them, always.
Which is weird.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
But so she ended up being the only person who ever showed him any kind of kindness, almost.
Edith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though she was crazy, her kindness probably was some weird gestures, but it was still kindness.
Oh, you mean Lucille? Sorry, I thought you were talking about Edith.
No,
it's Lucille. Okay, yeah.
At that point, he's messed up, and
yeah. So Lucille was the one, you know, who protected him, who was in a weird way, she was like a sister, a mom, and a lover to him.
And
just essentially, she was like the only woman in his life, you know?
That, yeah, wasn't terrible.
Yeah. So that, had an effect on him, obviously.
Yeah, he grew up to manipulate women into
Yep.
marrying him.
But like, there's a point in it actually in the movie where he just goes up to Lucia and Edith is dying and he has realized that he really loves Edith, and she's just like, Lucille, do we have to do this? Must we? And she just says yes. And it's like, well, all right, good. Glad we got that sorted out. I think it was a really good just showing of how conflicted he is about the whole thing and how just sure she is about the whole thing.
Yeah, she completely believes she's in the right. She knows what she needs to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's easy in terms of a lot of movies who make a villain who's crazy. You can say, oh, they do what they do just because they're crazy. But I think there was enough context within her character to explain like what kind of crazy she is.
Yeah, she wasn't just crazy. Although she was crazy, she wasn't just crazy.
And she wasn't like just a violent murderer, because when Thomas finally does confess to her that he does love Edith, she essentially is very broken at that point. She's very vulnerable about it. She's asking him like, well, you love her more than me, that whole kind of thing. And you realize that he's the only person who's ever loved her too.
They're just each other's person.
Yeah. But unlike him, she never took the initiative to try with other people.
Yeah, she was convinced that's all she had. That's all she needed.
Yeah. It's also revealed in the movie that Lucille had a baby.
Creepy baby.
Incest baby, who she did not like because the baby was born deformed, probably because of the incest. Poster child against incest, right there with Joffrey Lannister. But anyway, so I don't know. What do you think was the significance of her having had a baby? Because it's revealed also that she essentially, I think she killed the baby.
I would think so.
Eventually, because she said that, quote unquote, it wasn't born right and she should have let it die at birth, but she kept it alive for a little while because Thomas's last wife, whose name is Enola, or was Enola, one of the ghosts, she had convinced them that she could, quote unquote, heal it. And then Lucille was just like, she lied.
So she had her hopes.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted a family.
That's true. I never really thought about that.
Creepy family.
Yeah.
And she did. She wanted that kind of home that she never got as a child, is what it seemed like.
But I think she, in a weird way, like, even though she would be with her brother, she wanted it to be, like, quote unquote perfect, and that's why she killed her baby.
Oh, and she might have resented it too. Like, just it would get more attention than she would.
There's that as well. After I finished this movie, I felt a little bit gross. Felt kind of sad. Didn't sleep really well last night. And I feel like it's one of those movies that I'm going to be thinking about for a while and feeling sad about. Like, I felt sad for a week after I watched Phantom of the Opera. And I didn't even watch this one, but I was told the ending of AI, Artificial Intelligence, and I felt sad for like a day. I didn't even watch any of it. I just heard the ending of it, and I'm just like, that's so sad. And I felt sad for a whole day.
What sticks in my mind is the ghosts, the bony red woman that just crawled around.
Yeah. So I feel like Edith's mother was the one that had the most definitive style, because all the other ghosts who died at Crimson Peak are all just red skeletons.
Yeah.
Which I think that's just symbolic of how they died, I guess.
Probably, and more to do with Crimson Peak and its ketchup oozing floor.
Yes, that as well. Because Edith's mother died of black cholera, so she appeared as like a black skeleton with black dress.
Just misty blackness around her.
And so all the ghosts of Crimson Peak, Lady Sharp, the mother, and his 3 wives, and also the baby, they appear as red skeletons. And okay, major spoiler now. In the end, Lucille gets so mad at Thomas for falling in love with another woman that she stabs him several times in the chest and then right through the cheekbone.
Bam.
Because I feel like Guillermo del Toro was just like, hey, what does everyone like about Tom Hiddleston? I don't know, his cheekbones. All right, perfect. Let's stab them.
The weird part for that scene is that he pulls the blade out of his face.
Yeah.
And it's like seemingly fine. Like it hurts clearly, but like he's dead.
Yeah, because that would have gone straight through his brain.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yep. Then he cries a single red tear and dies.
And then he's really dead.
Yep. And then Lucille gets even more insane and goes after to kill Edith.
Yeah, it looks like she immediately regrets it.
Yeah, because then immediately afterwards she's like cradling his dead body.
She's like, what am I? What have I become because of this? And then she does what she thinks is best, and that's kill the other woman.
Yep, as it is. And then Charlie Hunnam's character, he's like, okay, so in the film, Thomas actually stabs him as well, but he's a doctor, so Thomas said, okay, you're a doctor, show me where to stab you to make it look like you're dead, but that you'll survive long enough. So, Alan McMichael, he has been stabbed twice, and he's just taken it like a man, and like
a champ.
Like he's just lasting as long as he can, and I respect that about him. I honestly wish that there was a little bit more of him in the movie.
Yeah, it seemed like there was something between him and Edith that just wasn't uncovered yet.
Yeah, because
it was almost.
Yeah, so they had known each other for a while, like family friends. And he seemed to really like her.
Like the way that they talked to each other. Like when he's all dressed up to go to that ball and she's like, you look, smart. And he's like, oh, I just threw it together.
And when he shows her pictures that he believes show ghosts, that he believes in that part of her because ghosts always fascinated her. So he's like, sort of like, hey, look, I got this ghost stuff. It's a part of the movie, when he first is going to Crimson Peak, he can't get there on horseback, so it's not shown in the movie, but it's established that he walks 4 hours in the snow to Crimson Peak.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe just 1 or 2 shots of that would have, boosted a lot of how much he cares about Edith and how much he's willing to go through for her.
Yeah. Just a little more detail is necessary.
Because he, on the back cover of the DVD, every main character has their symbol. Like Thomas's is a skull, Lucille's is a moth, Edith's is a butterfly, and well, you can say what you think Alan's is.
It looks like a rock, basically a rock.
I feel like it's an angel wing.
We have no idea, though. It looks like a rock.
Okay, yeah, I feel like angel wing would make sense because he's ends up being like her guardian angel. He goes all that way.
He's her savior.
Yeah, to protect her.
It just still looks like a rock.
So, essentially, at the end, they are in front of the house. All the snow has turned red because, like Thomas Sharp says, oh yeah, in the wintertime, the clay comes up and turns the snow red.
No big deal.
Yeah, so the entire lot around the house is red, like blood. Don't worry about it.
It's not blood, I swear.
Just literally the creepiest house ever. So anyhow, so Lucille chases Edith up there because Lucille has gone even more crazy than usual and is just slashing around, wanting to kill Edith. And then Edith says, "Help me," and Lucille says, "There's no one here to help you." And Edith's just like, "Yes, there is. Turn around." And it's Thomas's ghost.
His, aged 50 years ghost.
Yeah. Do you think there was any significance in them making his ghost gray?
I feel like it's a lighter whitish gray almost. Like he's almost good. It seems he is that
shade of gray.
Yeah, he's the in-between.
Yeah.
It's the lost color that is... And where she's darker when she dies.
That's true, yes. So Edith bashes Lucille's head in with a shovel. One of the best scenes in the movie, I might say. Breaks her neck. Yay. So Lucille's crazy, man. At that point, you're just like, you killed the dog. You deserve it.
Yes.
So, and then the last shot of the movie is Lucille's ghost all alone in the house playing the piano because that's her thing.
That piano.
While Thomas's ghost, Edith touches his face and his ghost dissipates into the wind.
He's done. He's done his part.
Yeah.
He can move on.
You know, I was unsure if I felt, sad that he died or glad that he died.
I feel like he wouldn't have a future if he lived, so.
Yeah, because even then, he was still attached to Lucille. He didn't even say that he's like leaving with Edith. He said we can all start a new life.
Yeah.
And it was that all that made her go crazy and stab him.
Because she just wanted him.
Yeah, so he still was like attached to her in that really unhealthy way that I think you're right, that even if he had lived, he would have never had the life that I think he would have wanted.
He wouldn't be able to move on. And like the same with her. She wouldn't have been able to move on after killing him. Like she killed the part of her that was human with that.
That's true,
Her humanity out the door.
Yep, he was that last little connection
that kept her from killing everyone.
I kind of wish that we had some closure with the other ghosts, because we see his ghost, dissipates into the wind and we can assume moves on, but we don't see that with any of the other ghosts.
Well, I mean, maybe we can assume that they do, since Lucille's dead. And that was it. They don't have to warn anyone else.
That's true.
They can go.
I
feel like Lucille is stuck there, though, because she has something she still needs to do, but what would that be?
Yeah.
Play the piano.
Yeah, and then Edith's narration at the end, I think really drove home the point of the movie that ghosts like us are tied to their old lives.
Yeah.
That's the biggest reason why ghosts exist, is like, oh, they have unfinished business. Holding on to the past. It's another big recurring motif in the movie, holding on to the past. And I think that was just the main thing, and you can see the dichotomy of it, whereas Thomas, he was able to move on, literally, after death, and then Lucille literally cannot move on. She's literally staying in the place she has always been.
She just lingers by the piano.
So I think, in a weird way, that movie had a really human, universal message.
Yeah.
Like, don't hold on to things. Like, you can't hold on to the bad, like the way Lucille felt about all her abuse, but at the same time, you sometimes even can't hold on to the good, like whatever love she had with Thomas, because that was something that shouldn't have lasted.
Yeah, it became something unhealthy because they both clung to it.
Like, it was somewhat understandable when they only had each other. But, when they finally grew up and, went out into the world, that's not something you should keep doing.
No.
Well, you should never start it. But,
yeah, definitely not.
But especially not now. No, we do not promote incest.
Oh, God.
Ever. In any degree. Not okay.
Just, why?
It is an evolutionary no-no.
Yeah. Don't kill your genetics.
Yeah, I actually learned at the museum the reason for that is that because siblings, you can have certain genetic deformities that are covered up by your dominant genes, but if you mate with a relative, you both have those same genetic deformities, and so a child will have all the genetic deformities pronounced. So that's why incest is not good.
And also, it stops genetic mutations that would help us evolve more.
Yeah, genetic diversity. That's true.
It kills your genetics. It's just wrong.
That as well. Makes you feel gross after watching a movie.
Yeah, why would you? Why did you force that upon me?
Oh gosh, yeah. I was. Like I said, I kind of figured that was the direction they were going in for early on.
But you hope against it.
And I was like, don't you show them in the bedroom. Don't you show them in the bedroom. And it was like, no, you did the thing I didn't want you to do.
Just no.
But at the very least, they were fully clothed. So yay. Yay for that.
Yay for clothing.
Oh gosh. I also liked at the end, we can kind of assume that Edith and Alan ended up together.
Yeah, we can. It's a
logical assumption.
would think so. I
But
mean,
at the same time, I like that it was not definitely they ended up together. 'Cause-
maybe they were together, but they didn't stay together, or
yeah,
or
who
maybe
knows?
he died from
Oh.
being stabbed twice.
I hope not.
It's entirely possible.
Well, it is, but I hope not.
And she's all alone.
Huh.
That
Why did we have to make it even sadder than it was?
would be really sad though, because she had no one
Yeah, literally no one, because, Lucille bashed her dad's head in.
to a sink, like James
She-
Bond
She
style.
broke the sink. I guess that mental institution taught her how to be a superpower ninja.
I know, just that figure looked like a man.
It did, yeah. Yeah, when you first see the scene where Edith's father is killed, you only see the hands and like the arms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like you would assume that it was Tom.
yeah.
Just assume, just because he was pretty creepy.
He was, honestly, like he had that charming, air about him when he was with Edith. And again, like if you didn't know that this was a movie where he turned out to be evil, you might think, oh, he seems like a cool guy. But
like in the scenes when he wasn't around her, he did have that very like, I could totally kill you vibe.
he did. I think he always does to some degree.
Yeah.
Like I watched War Horse, and he's in that, and he plays a totally good guy, and yet I'm still sitting there going like, I feel like you're tricking me.
You're evil. I know it.
Yeah, like in the movie War Horse, he plays just a perfectly nice, reasonable like soldier for the British Army in World War I, and I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, I don't know about you. There's something up. I don't like this. And there's nothing in the movie that at all indicates he's even a bad person to any degree, but I still feel that way.
He just brings that to his character.
Yeah.
That kind of, you could totally be evil.
Yeah. I think, oh, yeah, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it wouldn't be that much of a surprise.
Yeah, but I actually, I haven't seen Midnight in Paris, but I saw a clip of that. And I saw a clip of it, and he plays F. Scott Fitzgerald in that, and he seems all right. And his American accent's kind of funny, but I mean, aside from that, he seemed nice in that
His
one.
British accent in Crimson Peak was just beautiful. Like that was all there is to describe when he spoke. It was very graceful.
Especially when juxtaposed against all the Americans in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he even has a line in there is like, I don't speak a word of American.
Even compared to his sister, though, she didn't sound as British.
But I don't think Jessica Chastain isn't British.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's American.
But then, that also made him seem even more evil because he was the only British one. Bad guys have to be British. It's like a law.
Yeah, that's another thing actually about in the movie. You really do feel like at the beginning that Thomas is the more evil one because his sister, yeah, she's creepy, but she's like more subdued
Yeah.
in the beginning. Like
she's
a little more quiet.
She's off to the
Creepy.
side,
Yeah.
staring at you because she don't like you.
But then like when this movie moves to Crimson Peak and you see all the action there, and you slowly start to realize, oh, okay, he's not as bad. The sister's the crazier one.
When she comes into the picture, he does become less creepy.
He does, like by comparison, essentially.
Yeah, but like I don't know, you don't think he's as evil as soon as they get to the house, and there she is, and you're just like, yeah, she's creepy.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, that's something you brought up like today about the whole closing. I think this is interesting. So you can go ahead and tell our listeners.
So he says in the film that he closes his eyes to things that make him uncomfortable. And whenever he's around his sister, like close in the scene when they're being gross and when they're hugging, his eyes are tightly shut. And it like lingers on that. The camera does for a moment.
It does.
Too long. Like you notice it. That's what stands out is that his eyes are just shut.
So it's almost like he feels this obligation to his sister.
Yeah, although it makes him uncomfortable, he knows that he's all she has.
So that is a really good detail, and I think that's the kind of detail that like Guillermo del Toro really goes for, and I think the whole production team too went for.
Excellent, just tiny things that you notice, and you're like, that really changes.
Oh, hey. We're recording.
Sorry.
Leave. Sorry about that interruption. Close the door, please.
I got it.
Thank you. Well, that happens.
Can't control everyone.
Yeah, it happens. But anyway, so yeah, like in those extras, I watched just this little stuff you would never even think about. The fact that when they're in America and all these people have these beautiful, colorful costumes, both the Sharps, they just wear all black all the time.
Yeah, they do. They're very just like minimal.
Yeah, you know, like, and that's something I didn't even notice. And also, a line that Edith has in the movie when she's trying to convince her dad that Thomas is not a bad guy, because
He's handsome.
yeah, her dad was like, you know, he's just like a spoiled rich boy. And so Edith was saying like, oh, his coat was tailored, but it's at least a decade old, and his shoes were handmade, but they're very worn too. And you realize now that's because you're living in a decaying mansion with no one around.
Yeah. Who are you dressing up for?
Mm-hmm. Like, again, the fact that the house too, it's still, apparently they just built the whole house.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it wouldn't be that hard.
well, yeah, you don't have
It's not
to
a real house.
don't have to worry about a ceiling, so there you go. So yeah, oh yeah, worth mentioning too, on the extras, the one labeled like Architecture of Crimson Peak, Tom Hiddleston hosts that one.
Ooh.
So like just comes on camera just like, oh, I'm Tom Hiddleston, and just like, well,
Hi,
great.
Tom.
So part of the architecture, if you notice, in Lucille's room, her walls are red.
Oh, I actually did not notice that.
Yeah, I didn't either until they mentioned it. Like
It's all so dark. The
Yeah.
colors kind of just
melt together. Yeah, but so in the house, Crimson Peak, the house, it's all like all the wallpaper and stuff is green and blue, which is juxtaposed against, in America, you have all these like yellows and golds in there, and also Edith, she like wears a yellow dress a lot.
Yeah, if you compare like Edith's clothes to Lucille's, it's very like drastic. Edith wears very extravagant dresses and lots of like velvet.
And so just those little things that show like the dark and the light, I think added a lot to the atmosphere of the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, good job.
It was a really good movie. I don't know if I would watch it again. I don't know if I'd have the heart to.
I don't know. I've seen it once. I know what happens.
Yeah. It's like, it's not for the faint of heart, I think.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for the weirdness of the relationships.
Yeah.
And just kind of like the violence that is this film.
Yeah, that as well. Actually, something that I kind of appreciate in the movie is that it wasn't just like a bunch of hacking off limbs, you know? Like, it was a lot of stabby McStabby.
Structured.
That's all right. But yeah, like, it's more of a realistic portrayal of, I think, what would happen if you like got stabbed. I mean, obviously the whole stabbing in the cheekbone and then just pulling it out thing. I don't know how real that is.
The way she just stabbed it, like no effort. Like, there's a bone there though.
Yeah, but really weird though too. Place to that's why I feel like it was a conscious effort. Let's stab him in the cheekbone.
You had to think about that
because she's really close to him in that scene, and it wouldn't make sense for her to just insert it perfectly into his cheekbone. So.
Maybe she liked his cheekbones also. All those ladies like your cheekbones.
She's like, if I can't have your cheekbones, nobody can. All right. So overall, thoughts on the movie?
I mean, I liked it, but then I was also weirded out by it. So it just kind of like, it's not the worst movie ever. It's not the best movie ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd watch it again. It just didn't spark that, oh, I want to see this over and over again. Like, I mean, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I watched that movie way too many times.
Yeah, same with me and Thor as well.
Just like, those are movies you can go back to and like, I still feel that magic.
Yeah, and like keeping in the era, Pride and Prejudice. I've watched that a couple of times. I really like that because you know it's sweet kind of characters. I like the plot. So I have pretty much like the same feelings about it as you. It I feel like it definitely accomplished what it wanted to
Yeah, it
as
told a very nice
Yeah.
story.
as like a partial horror movie, as a dark love story.
Yeah, it told the story very well. It didn't seem to break like some stories do. Like there's just the boring part. It kept you entertained.
Yeah, like it kept its rhythm, like it kept its groove throughout the whole movie.
It was a nice like beat, like a
Mhm.
soundtrack just playing. You don't want to break between the songs. You want it to smooth along each track. And it did that
Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah, so liked it. I really did like it. I didn't like super love it because that's just not my kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
that people who are more okay with that kind of thing would probably like it a lot more.
I mean, I like horror movies. I do. I really like watching them and then getting that kind of like, whoo, this movie just, I wouldn't watch it again. That's all I could. I liked it. I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, same here. All right, so that was our thoughts on Crimson Peak. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Hannah,
And I'm Amanda.
and have a very nice day.
Yay.